Our next guest is a new Grimsby resident, Mike Denney. He's the president of successful country music record label MDM Recordings. He announced this week a new award to support Indigenous musicians. Mike, what was the impetus behind the announcement of this award?
A little bit of everything, Mike. My family, my mother is Lower Mohawk from Six Nations, and just growing up as a family, we never really talked all that much about Indigenous issues in our family. And the only thing that ever did come up was my mother repeatedly saying over the years, growing up as a young lady, that if anybody ever came up to you on the street and asked you what your nationality was, you said you were anything but Indigenous. And I always thought that that was a really weird comment to make, but I didn't know how to dig further or to ask the right questions to go further. And then on the day that the initial 215 children were found at the residential school in Kamloops, it answered a lot of questions for me, and it had a profound effect on me as an Indigenous business leader and somebody in a position in the music industry where I wanted to create something to try and give some of these Indigenous artists a chance. Understand that I can't change what's happened in the past, and what's happened has happened, but maybe I can be part of something going forward. And that's where it started. I texted a few people in the MDM Recordings family, said, "Is this a crazy idea?" And that was a year ago, April, and now we've launched and we're ready to roll. So that's where it got its start from.
I have to say, Mike, I've got chills going down my spine right now, and that's because I've known you for 35 years and had no clue that you had any Indigenous background. And that must have really opened up your eyes, because it could have been people your age who were found buried in some of those homes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the good thing is my mother was not part of the Indigenous residential schools, which was great, but it opened up the conversation of questions that I had for her along the way as well too. And I've also never really spoken out about my background as much. I just kind of, it was there. It was just never really a talking point. But now, with all the BIPOC issues that are front and center, being Indigenous is front and center, and everything that's going on with Indigenous issues in this country, which, on the day the 215 were found, the 215 children were found, I was like, how can this happen? How can this happen anywhere, let alone how can this happen in Canada? And fortunately, we have an Indigenous artist on our roster by the name of Donna Merrow, who's been front and center with a lot of the Indigenous issues. And I just really started to educate myself on my Indigenous upbringing and who I am as an Indigenous person.
The Henry Armstrong Award is going to go to an Indigenous artist. How will you make the selection as to who gets that award?
So the Henry Armstrong Award, it's named after my grandfather. His last name was Henry, and my mother's maiden name was Armstrong. So that's where the name of this came from. We will open up the portal for submissions on April 19th. It'll be open for a 4-week period. It is open to any Indigenous artists that are out there, regardless of genre of music. The portal will close on May the 13th, 2022. From there, we have numerous people lined up to jury the submissions that will come in for the award, and our goal is to announce the initial winner on National Indigenous Peoples Day on June 21st, 2022.
Mike, how can interested Indigenous artists apply for this? Where can they find more information?
www.henryarmstrongaward.ca has all of the details that are there. And my goal with this award is the cash award is $10,000 this year. It's my own personal money that I'm putting into this, but there's a mentorship piece with all of the various people that are under the umbrella of MDM Recordings that you need to be educated in terms of being an artist, from radio promotion to media publicity, how to write proper grant applications, graphic design, social media. So this person will get $5,000 on June 21st. And then we'll start a mentorship program of meeting with the MDM folks over the course of the next 12 months. And then at the end of that, they will get the second $5,000 and hopefully be in a way different position than what they were coming into the award in terms of advancing their career. But my goal within 5 to 7 years is to get this to a cash award of $100,000 and either award one big award of $100,000 to an Indigenous artist, or possibly 10 awards of $10,000, depending on what kind of response we get. We don't know what we're going to get yet, and getting the information out into the people is what we're really pushing to do right now as we lead into opening the